It's a thing that I know rings in so many people's head when it comes to the hope that your family will do better and be better for their own accord. That hope is so scary and so vulnerable. And that keeps hitting me again and again and again.
A lot of it is also this hope that I don't mess it up. It's hope that I'm gonna be able to hang along the journey, and it's been rough. It Hope is terrifying because you have something to lose. Hey everybody, it's Bianca.
And it's Emilia.
As you guys know, if you've been listening to the show for a while, one of the things that matters so much to us and one of the things that means the most to us is evolving constantly, right? It's why we named the show what we did. And as a byproduct of that, we're always trying to think of how we can make everything at Evolve better. And this podcast being one of them. One of the biggest ways in which we do that is by getting feedback from all of you, all of our evolvers, all of our listeners, all of the people who have committed themselves to being those cycle breakers and those change makers in your life. And one of the things that we are going to start doing as a result of that, as the feedback that we have gotten from all of you, is changing the way that we are doing the podcast. So, what that means for all of you is that the content is going to stay the same, right? We're going to keep bringing to you the best content that we can, talking about the topics that really matter to each and every one of you. But the thing that is going to be changing is the way that we start all of the episodes and all of the shows. So, as you will see, as you will have heard, we did not dive into the episode name and we did not dive into what the last episode was because if you're on YouTube or if you're on Apple Podcasts or any of the other streaming platforms, you can kind of already see that.
Hmm.
So, us reiterating that point, we don't believe is beneficial anymore. And we've gotten feedback that it's actually a little distracting because
Hmm.
it takes away from the content that you are going to be getting. So as is our mission to constantly provide the best that we can for all of you, we welcome you
Hmm.
along this next evolution and we cannot wait for the impact to be had.
B, even when I think about, like, for a quick second, it's like, holy crap, the journey that we've had and the journey that we've had with so
Wild.
many listeners, it's been absolutely insane. And I'm so grateful for that. And so much gratitude just like surged into the moment because if you
Yeah.
look at all the different seasons that we've had as we've evolved and as our community has, as they've evolved, it has brought so many meaningful and impactful conversations to the table that quite frankly, a lot of people don't have the, I don't want to say the BALLS's for, but you know what I'm saying. So
They
I'm
don't got
super
the
excited.
balls, just
Yeah,
I'll say it.
they don't. And so I'm super grateful to be in this next evolution of our journey because truth be told, our journey is synced up. It is connected to all of our evolvers. So I'm super grateful for the feedback from our community and I can't thank them enough for constantly having that feedback loop open. And and I think that per this episode, why we're going to dig into some of this stuff, I think that it is where the crux of change happens. You and I had an incredible dialogue around,
Yeah,
I
we
think it
did.
was episode 318, where we talked about the paradox between hope and belief. And
Yeah, I
truth be
think so.
told, when we started this mission, it's really scary to have hope and to have kind of what feels like blind faith when it comes to believing in something, having a mission, being inspired by humans and what they're capable of, and putting in the work to make sure that that's more possible for so many other people. So, um,
Mm.
even just thinking about our mission and what Evolve really stands for, I'm really proud to see where we are at right now when it comes to the team members, the community, and the clients that we help. Because,
Yeah.
truth be told, when you are evolving, one of the scariest things that we all experience is having, maintaining, and continuing to cultivate hope when you don't necessarily have evidence that there's going to be a better opportunity, a better future on the other side. So,
I mean, this directly ties into that episode. This entire journey for me has been it's been terrifying. Like,
mhm,
I've had to put and granted, I chose to do this, right? You and I have had dialogues about this so many times, but I've had to just put blind faith in you that
mhm,
you know what you're doing and you're leading us correctly, and that in the end it's all going to be okay. And there've been so many changes along the way, and it's my everything inside of me is like, run for the damn hills. This is too much. This is terrifying. And that hope and that faith that it's all going to work out. I mean, if you don't believe in what you're doing, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe that any of these things are possible, it's it's terrifying to
mhm,
have faith. It's terrifying to have hope. I mean, if I didn't think about it, if I genuinely did not believe in you, how could I, like, seriously, how could I have any sense of hope that everything was going to be okay? How could I have hope for my future being any better? I am working on hope and faith. Now, granted, I have a ton of belief in you,
mhm.
but a lot of it is also this hope that I don't mess it up. It's hope that I'm going to be able to hang along the journey, and it's been rough. It Hope is terrifying because you have something to lose.
Mm,
And you and I talk about this a lot. I don't think we use these exact words, but I've talked with Alan about this a lot in our coaching. Playing to win versus playing not to lose.
mhm.
You're playing to win because
Yes.
you're the leader. You have that insane amount of belief in yourself. You've earned it, and you believe in yourself to know that you'll figure everything out. I don't have that same level of belief that you do. So I'm basically playing not to lose my position. I'm playing not to lose everything that we have. And when you don't have that level of belief,
Mhm,
hoping that it's going to be okay is it's one of the scariest things that you can do, because what does it mean about you if you do lose it? Even
mhm.
just contemplating that, like, there have been so many times where I've, like, with a lot of the transitions that we've had within Evolve,
Yeah.
there have been so many nights where I have stayed up, like, freaking out or crying or scared of what's going to happen. Is everything going to be okay? Are we going to be able to figure this out? Am I going to be okay? What's
Mhm,
going to happen if, like, what would happen if I lost this? Because
mhm.
this has been everything for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is JC DaCosta, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about Evolve Ventures and to let you know that it is a community where you can be your authentic self. I personally have experienced a place where I can tell my story and know that I'll find somebody who has shared a similar experience. It's a community of empathy, of leadership, of growth, of opportunity, and it's it's just a phenomenal community with budding and growing leaders who have a voice, and it's a forum and a platform for all of this good conversation, and it's meaningful conversation. So I am grateful for Evolve Ventures and its leadership, and thank you so much for listening to my spot. Take care.
One of the things I actually it's same. I actually had a dream last night and I woke up and I was
Ooh.
like, "Woof." It was involving you.
Ooh. Amelia having dreams about me? Don't tell Alan.
No, it was one that's like around this of when you have hope, it's terrifying because you're truly putting your heart on the line in many
Yeah.
regards, whether it be building a friendship, whether it be building an intimate relationship, whether it be trying to help your family evolve or trying to help them see what the negative impact is from them on your world, right? Or trying to have hope that, I shared with you just before this episode that your cancer diagnostic that comes in, you can
Yeah.
you can actually have a path forward that fights it like hell. It is scary to have hope because truth be told, you don't fully know what's on the other side. And that's
No.
what keeps us up late at night. That's what woke me up from my dream last night of like, oh my gosh, there's so much on the line. And it is
Yeah.
scary because that's a vulnerable space. But truth be told, there's so much to be gained when we do put things on the line and when we do risk it and when we do enter into the realm of our fears. And I think that that is what, when we can face our fears and we can enter into the realm of our fears, and when you and I can actually look at them dead in the face, that hope starts to transition from a space of maybe I don't believe in myself, but rather I can perhaps build
Yeah.
something out of this fear. I can actually address this fear from a place of fear can exist, and what can I do about it? And when I think that duality happens, that's where we show ourselves who we are. And one of the things that I've talked about behind the scenes is how grateful I am for the way in which you've been able to work on holding those two dualities in your own world,
Yeah.
because truth be told, you didn't have the dualities when I first met you. You've really
Not even
come up in that
close.
skill. Right. So, right. And your humility, you faced a lot of ego deaths. Alan and I were just talking about this. You have faced a lot of
Ooh,
ego
yeah.
deaths when it comes to this journey together. And that I can only imagine is terrifying.
I wanted this more than I've said this
I
multiple
love it.
times at this
Say it
point.
for the people in the back.
I mean, I've wanted this more than I've wanted my own bullshit. Like, I wanted you and Alan and Evolve and NLU and all of our future together more than I wanted the BS stories that I had in my head and the conditioning that I had. Like, it wasn't just because I was full of it and I had this massive ego and, like, I was conceited or anything like that. A lot of it was just my conditioning. A lot of
Yeah.
it was, not being around a ton of people with big, audacious goals and dreams and the characteristics and the values and the beliefs required in order to have that. I mean,
Mm,
I don't know anybody who was an entrepreneur, not in the way that we are now, and especially not in the way that you are. I
yeah.
was never around anybody who told me that, in order to get the things that you want, you have to really sacrifice and grow and challenge yourself. Everything was always keep what you have, look better than you actually are.
Mm,
And the amount of vulnerability and humility that I had to develop because I wanted this, it made it made me have to change. It made me have to evolve again in order not to lose,
mm,
in order not to lose and to gain everything that I knew we were going to have. And the vulnerability that that required, like, I had to be more vulnerable than I ever thought I was capable of, and
mm,
continuously having to be more vulnerable than I've ever believed I would have been capable of. Like,
yeah.
wanting more requires so much more hope than you can imagine, and that hope requires vulnerability to extraordinary levels. I haven't been super open and public about this, but I'm recently in a new relationship. I'm keeping it under wraps, obviously, to protect, her privacy and everything. But even in that, the amount of hope that I have that it'll work out is terrifying because of my past, because of
Mhm.
all of the things that I experienced in my past and the things that you and I have just had so many conversations around, and the amount of vulnerability that I'm having to have in order to maintain that hope and break those cycles is challenging me in ways that I don't think I was ready for,
Yeah.
and challenging parts of my ego that I don't think I was ready to acknowledge. So,
Mhm.
all of this being said, hope is there's a reason hope is scary. It's because it requires so much of us.
Really does.
And something that you've, really taught me through your own actions and just through the person that you are is what you get on the other side of that will radically change your life.
My goodness, it's so true. I even have to remind myself of that often.
Mm.
Like there's a thing that keeps ringing in my head, and I'll be brief about this, but it's a thing that I know rings in so many people's head when it comes to the hope that your family will do better and be better for their own accord. That hope is so scary and so vulnerable. And
Ugh.
that keeps hitting me again and again and again. And that hope is so scary to have because it leaves you exposed. Well, what if that doesn't happen? Just like in an intimate relationship, what if it doesn't work out? You have to deal with the really painful emotions on the other side of that. And what does that mean? What does that mean about you? What does that mean about your involvement in that equation? And it starts to kind of creep into all the other areas of your life of what you believe about yourself, what you believe about the world, what you believe about everything in between those two things. And
Mm.
it can really rock your world when it doesn't, when things don't go according to plan, right? So it's
Yeah.
it's that continuously crops up, and reminding even myself around this, no matter how much I have seen the transformation of what it feels like to have hope and then have it positively transform, no matter what level you're at, no matter where you're evolving and what chapter you are, when you are on the path of evolving
Yeah.
something very specific, reminding yourself that hope is a fundamental aspect of transformation is so critical. And that's where that self leadership comes in. Kind of reminds you of those little pinches where uh, without this, it wouldn't be possible. And that's where that episode 318 really connects to this one, because without hope, um, truth be told, you don't have the resources to really put that hope into action, which is what builds belief. And
Mm.
hope is that thought that then gets charged energetically through an emotion that then actually cultivates a way forward, an action forward, aka a belief. And that triad is what over time creates the transformation. It's really, really powerful. But yeah,
Hmm. My episode suggestion is 308. What stories are your inner critic writing?
mine is 318, the paradox between hope and belief. You have to learn, of course.
Mm. Tied in perfectly.
Hmm.
All right, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope that this evolved version of Evolve is everything you needed and wanted. And we'll see you next time. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.